So we're going to go over really fast how I put together this scalloped planner using the Planner Society paper from the kit. So I used these two papers. You can just glue them together. And you can make this actually any size you need it to. You just have to measure it out with your papers. So there's all sorts of colors from Michaels. So I used the white, it's a pretty purple, and this pearlescent pink for this particular notebook. So what I did was I took the papers that I'm using for my planner and the size that I needed was just the half sheet, but I knew that the spine was not going to allow a lot of movement because I want to place in my planner a stack of these, and then they'll thicken up as you add stickers and washi in it, and then probably a pouch for holding pens and so forth. So I knew the spine wasn't going to be sufficient, so I added in that side spine. So this paper was not, it didn't fit it the way I wanted it to. I wanted it to fit inside these here. So I realized it would leave too much of the scallop anyways, and it would just look awkward. So I measured it out to here, and that left about space for one scallop. So I went ahead and cut with my cutter out. I measured out one length of the scallop, and you can actually end up using that for your spine. And then very carefully making sure I was right in the middle of these loops, so that when it measured up, it would measure up nicely. And then I took that piece out and I taped the two pieces together like this with some washi tape. Just take some washi tape to stabilize it. And that formed the inside of this. So I laid the paper down, face down, and I laid this over it, and I measured out how I wanted it to look, and it came out to be just right at the bottom of these humps, sorry. And so I went ahead and flipped it over and laid it down, and I used some clear packaging tape just to stabilize where the cuts were out here. And then I cut right inside of those dots, and that gave me a bit of a guideline, and it gave it a nice inside frame that you don't see from the outside, which I really end up liking a lot. So that worked out nicely. And then I cut right down the middle of because it ends up being 6 on the bottom. I cut right down the middle and placed the spine down, and then I took regular packaging tape and taped the spine on either side, and then I secured it with tape, a little bit of tape over on each side, and took it to Kinko's because it's too wide to fit through your Scotch laminator, and took it to Kinko's and had them laminate it. And I did have them run it through twice to make sure it was fully sealed. And then the rest is cutting out the edges and placing your eyelets and putting in your elastic, and that's it.
After you get it laminated, you'll notice that there will be some air bubbles, and that's okay. What you want to just double check is that you don't have air bubbles that are too close to the edges or within your actual project. From there, you'll move on to cutting. I use my Fiskars cutter to slice straight lines around the planner, and then used hand scissors to cut around the scallops, leaving enough room to avoid being too close to the seal. Here's what your final cut should look like, and then you just go ahead and fold along the inner spine. Right along there is where each packaging tape was placed, which you don't even see with the lamination. I use a crocodile to set my eyelets because I anticipate heavy use.
I'm going to take your elastic that you've measured. We're going to do 6 strings. So I'm going to go through the front here, to the side there, sorry. To the side. And I want to do it evenly, so I'm going to pull that there. I'm going to go up this way. And over. And over this way. Now I'm going to do the ends a little bit differently because I do want to have a loop at the bottom and the top so that if I want to hook charms on, I don't have to pull at the other ones. So I'm going to pull these tight. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to go all the way to the end there. So now I have a loop for charms built right in. There you go. And now I've got them all together. I want to make sure they're nice and tight. So I'm going to pull. Measure around it. Leave enough room for you to cut. Tie, I'm sorry. Tie. Without wasting too much elastic. And I'm going to tie it right about there. And then you just feed it through the middle. And there you go. There's your planner. Awesome. You can also do it here to go over the back this way. But everyone likes to hang charms here in the front or put bows or whatever. So that works.